This is a glass of water, 8 ounces, crystal clear, drawn from the Mekong River near Phnom Penh. Looks clean, tastes fresh, sustains life for millions who drink from this river daily. But the water in this glass didn't originate in Cambodia. It fell as rain in Tibet, flowed through China's Yunnan province, passed through Myanmar and Laos, and arrived in Cambodia only because every nation upstream allowed it to pass. 3 days ago, Thailand decided to stop allowing passage. On January 21, 2026, at 6 a.m. Bangkok time, Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin announced the Mekong Water Security Initiative, a series of dam closures and diversion projects that will redirect up to 40% of Mekong flows into Thai irrigation systems, away from the 60 million people downstream in Cambodia and Vietnam who depend on the river for survival. The announcement came without warning to downstream nations. No consultation, no negotiation, no transition period. Just a declaration that Thai water needs take precedence over Cambodian and Vietnamese water needs, effective immediately. The Mekong supports the world's largest inland fishery. It irrigates rice paddies that feed 300 million people. It provides drinking water, transportation, and ecosystem services that cannot be replaced. Thailand just claimed 40% of it. The 60 million people downstream will adapt or die. This is not water management. This is weaponization of geography against nations too weak to fight back. Here's what they're not telling you. The Mekong River Commission, the intergovernmental body theoretically coordinating water management among Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, learned about the initiative from news reports, not diplomatic channels. At 8:30 a.m. Bangkok time on January 21st, I spoke with a senior official at the Commission's Vientiane headquarters. The official's voice carried shock that hadn't yet processed into analysis. We have procedures. We have agreements. Thailand participated in drafting those procedures. For 28 years, the Commission has coordinated Mekong development through consultation and consensus. This announcement violates every principle we've established. I asked about the Commission's response options. The Commission has no enforcement mechanism. We facilitate agreement. We cannot compel compliance. Thailand's participation was always voluntary. They've chosen to stop participating. I asked about downstream impact. The Tonle Sap in Cambodia, the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, depends on Mekong flooding to maintain its ecosystem. Reduced flows mean reduced flooding, which means the lake shrinks, which means fisheries collapse. The Vietnamese Mekong Delta, one of the world's most productive agricultural regions, depends on freshwater flows to prevent saltwater intrusion. Reduced flows mean salt penetrates further inland, which means rice paddies die. The impacts begin within weeks and compound over years. The technical details confirm the severity. The Mekong's annual flow at its delta averages 475 billion cubic meters. Thailand's diversion targets approximately 190 billion cubic meters, 40% of total flow. The diversions would be accomplished through 3 mechanisms. Dam operations. Thailand controls or influences 23 dams on Mekong tributaries. Coordinated closure of dam gates reduces downstream flows immediately. The largest dams, Xayaburi, Don Sahong, Pak Beng, can reduce flows by 15 to 20% through operational changes alone. Irrigation diversions. Thailand's Isan region, the country's agricultural heartland, has been water-stressed for decades. New pumping stations will lift Mekong water into irrigation canals serving 4 million hectares of farmland. The infrastructure has been quietly constructed over 3 years, awaiting political authorization to activate. Interbasin transfers. The most ambitious component redirects Mekong water into the Chao Phraya Basin, which serves Bangkok and Thailand's industrial heartland. The transfers reduce Mekong flows while augmenting supply to Thailand's economic core. Each mechanism is technically feasible. Thailand has the infrastructure, the engineering capability, and the geographic position to execute the diversions. What they lacked was political willingness to ignore downstream consequences. That willingness has now materialized. At 11 a.m. Phnom Penh time on January 21st, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet held an emergency press conference. His statement was notable for its restraint, diplomatic language barely containing fury. Cambodia calls upon Thailand to immediately halt actions that threaten the livelihoods of millions of Cambodians. The Mekong River is a shared resource. No nation has the right to claim exclusive use of shared waters. Cambodia reserves all options in responding to this unilateral action. The phrase, reserves all options, in diplomatic language, includes military options. Cambodia's military is far smaller than Thailand's, but desperation creates unpredictable responses. At 1 p.m. Hanoi time, Vietnam's foreign ministry issued a stronger statement calling Thailand's action a violation of international water law and fundamental principles of equitable resource sharing. Vietnam demanded immediate reversal and announced it was consulting with international partners about appropriate responses. The consultation language suggests Vietnam is seeking support from outside powers, potentially China, which has its own Mekong leverage through upstream dams, or the United States, which has been seeking regional influence to counter Chinese expansion. This is where the lie becomes unsustainable. Thailand's justification for the diversions, domestic water security, obscures the actual motivation. Thailand is not water scarce. Annual renewable freshwater resources total approximately 438 billion cubic meters, more than adequate for a population of 70 million. The Isan region has experienced drought stress, but the stress results from agricultural expansion beyond sustainable limits, not from insufficient Mekong flows. The actual motivation is economic. Thai agribusiness has been lobbying for Mekong diversions for 15 years. The irrigation expansion enables cultivation of high-value export crops, rice, cassava, sugarcane, that generate $12 billion in annual revenue. The business interests funding Sretta's governing coalition expect returns on their political investment. The motivation is also geopolitical. Thailand has historically competed with Vietnam for regional influence. Vietnamese agricultural dominance in the Mekong Delta, which produces 25% of global rice exports, represents economic power that Thailand resents. Reducing delta productivity doesn't directly benefit Thai agriculture, but it weakens a rival. In zero-sum regional competition, weakening rivals is its own reward. At 3:30 p.m. Bangkok time on January 21st, I obtained internal Thai government communications through a source in the Ministry of Agriculture. The communications reveal the economic projections underlying the initiative. Thai agricultural revenue increase from diversions, $8.7 billion annually by 2030. Thai urban water security improvement, Bangkok drought risk reduced by 60%. Cambodian GDP impact, estimated minus 4.2% annually from fishery collapse and agricultural disruption. Vietnamese GDP impact, estimated minus 2.8% annually from delta salinization and reduced rice production. The Thai government has modeled the damage to downstream nations. They know the consequences. The initiative proceeds anyway because Thai benefits exceed Thai costs. The costs to others don't enter the calculation. Less than 45 days separate today from the onset of dry season, when Mekong flows naturally decline and the diversion impacts become most severe. The timing is not accidental. The Mekong's flow varies dramatically between wet and dry seasons. During monsoon months, June to October, flows can reach 40,000 cubic meters per second. During dry season, February and May, flows drop to 2,000 cubic meters per second. Diversions during high flow periods cause minimal immediate damage. There's enough water for everyone. Diversions during low flow periods create immediate crisis. Downstream needs cannot be met. By activating diversions in January, Thailand ensures maximum impact during the February-May dry season. The timing maximizes leverage. Cambodia and Vietnam face immediate crisis rather than gradual stress. At 6 p.m. Phnom Penh time on January 22nd, the first physical evidence of diversion impacts emerged. Water levels at Kratie, the monitoring station measuring flows entering Cambodia, dropped 23% compared to the same date in 2025. The drop exceeded natural variation, confirming artificial reduction. Cambodian fishermen reported immediate effects. The dye fishery, traditional stationary traps that catch migrating fish during seasonal flows, showed catch rates 40% below normal. The fish that should be arriving weren't arriving. The flows that should be carrying them weren't flowing. The Tonle Sap's annual flood pulse, the phenomenon that reverses the Tonle Sap River's flow and fills the lake, depends on Mekong water levels. Reduced Mekong flows mean reduced flood pulse, which means the lake doesn't fill, which means the fish don't spawn, which means the fishery that provides 75% of Cambodian protein collapses. The collapse won't be immediate. Fish already in the lake will be caught. But reproduction fails without the flood pulse habitat. Within 2 years, fish populations crash. Within 5 years, the fishery becomes commercially unviable. 2 million Cambodians depend directly on Tonle Sap fishing for their livelihoods. Another 8 million depend indirectly through related industries: processing, transport, trade. The fishery's collapse displaces 10 million people from their economic base. When water is weaponized, the consequences cascade far beyond immediate impacts. The Mekong crisis will reshape Southeast Asian geopolitics in ways that Thailand hasn't fully calculated. Refugee flows. Cambodian and Vietnamese rural populations facing agricultural collapse will migrate. Some will move to urban areas within their countries, straining cities already stressed by climate change. Others will cross borders, legally or illegally, seeking survival wherever it can be found. Thailand is the likely destination for many Cambodian refugees. The irony of Thai water diversions creating Thai refugee crisis is lost on no one except apparently Thai policymakers. Food security. Vietnam's Mekong Delta produces 25 million metric tons of rice annually, critical supply for rice importing nations across Asia and Africa. Reduced Delta productivity tightens global rice markets. Rice prices rose 8% on commodity exchanges within 24 hours of Thailand's announcement. The market is pricing in supply reduction before production has actually declined. Price increases harm food importing nations that had nothing to do with Thai-Vietnamese competition. Regional alignment. Vietnam and Cambodia have historically been rivals. The Khmer Rouge's Cambodian genocide was ended by Vietnamese invasion in 1979. The shared Thai threat creates unprecedented alignment. At 9 p.m. Hanoi time, on January 22nd, Vietnamese and Cambodian foreign ministers held an emergency joint meeting, the first such meeting since the two nations normalized relations in 1991. The joint statement afterward called for coordinated response to upstream aggression. Coordinated response could mean diplomatic pressure, it could mean economic retaliation, it could mean military coordination against shared threat. The statement's vagueness was deliberate, keeping options open while signaling unified opposition. At 11:30 p.m. Bangkok time on January 22nd, China's foreign ministry issued a carefully calibrated statement calling for all parties to resolve water management differences through dialogue, and offering to facilitate discussion through appropriate regional mechanisms. The statement's neutrality is significant. China operates 11 major dams on the upper Mekong, called the Lancang in China. Chinese dam operations have been accused of harming downstream nations for years. Thai diversions provide cover for Chinese operations. Thai actions draw attention away from Chinese responsibility. But Chinese neutrality also signals opportunity. If Vietnam and Cambodia seek outside support against Thailand, China could provide it, in exchange for regional concessions that serve Chinese interests. The water crisis becomes leverage for Chinese influence expansion. What the informed understand is that Thailand's water initiative creates dynamics that escape Thai control. The initiative assumes downstream nations will accept fait accompli because they lack alternatives. That assumption may prove catastrophic. Military response. Cambodia's military is smaller than Thailand's, but asymmetric warfare doesn't require conventional superiority. Sabotage of Thai dam infrastructure, attacks on pumping stations, disruption of irrigation canals, all are within Cambodian capability if desperation drives such action. International intervention. The Mekong crisis affects food security for hundreds of millions. International actors, UN agencies, major powers, regional organizations, may intervene in ways Thailand cannot control. The crisis that Thailand created may be resolved in ways Thailand doesn't choose. Precedent establishment. If Thailand successfully weaponizes water without consequence, other upstream nations observe and learn. Turkey could restrict Euphrates flows to Iraq. Ethiopia could restrict Nile flows to Egypt. India could restrict Ganges flows to Bangladesh. The precedent Thailand establishes may eventually harm Thailand when others apply it. At 2 a.m. Bangkok time on January 23rd, satellite imagery showed Thai military deployments to dam facilities along the Mekong tributaries. The deployments could be precautionary, protecting infrastructure against potential sabotage. They could also be preparation for escalation. The deployments confirm that Thai planners anticipate potential conflict. They've calculated that conflict risk is acceptable given the economic benefits the diversions provide. The calculation may be correct. It may also be catastrophically wrong. At 6 a.m. Phnom Penh time on January 23rd, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet chaired a National Security Council meeting. The meeting's agenda, according to leaked documents, included kinetic options for infrastructure interdiction. Kinetic options means military action. Infrastructure interdiction means attacks on Thai dams and diversions. Cambodia is actively considering military response to water deprivation. The consideration doesn't guarantee action. Cambodian leaders understand their military limitations. But desperation calculus differs from rational calculus. When 10 million people face displacement and the national economy faces collapse, leaders may choose options that seem irrational in peacetime. The glass of water weighs about half a pound. It fell from clouds over the Tibetan plateau, flowed through mountains and jungles, sustained ecosystems and civilizations, and arrived at this destination only because nature and nations permitted its passage. The water in this glass has no nationality. It doesn't recognize the borders humans have drawn across its path. It flows according to gravity and geography, indifferent to politics and power. But humans have decided that water can be owned, that rivers can be nationalized, that flows can be directed according to political will rather than natural law. Thailand has decided that 40% of the Mekong belongs to Thailand. The decision ignores 60 million people downstream who disagree. The decision ignores ecosystems that evolved over millennia. The decision ignores international norms that protect shared resources. The decision may succeed. Thailand may divert the water, expand irrigation, grow export crops, and prosper while downstream nations suffer. Power creates facts. Geography is destiny. The upstream nation holds the leverage. Or the decision may fail. Cambodia and Vietnam may resist effectively. International pressure may force reversal. Conflict may escalate beyond Thai control. The crisis Thailand created may consume Thailand along with its victims. 45 days until dry season exposes the full impact. 90 days until fishery collapse becomes visible. 2 years until agricultural transformation becomes irreversible. The timelines describe ecological disaster, accelerating toward humanitarian catastrophe. 60 million people, Cambodians who fish the Tonle Sap, Vietnamese who farm the delta, communities along the river who drink its water, face futures being determined in Bangkok without their consent. The glass of water is just water. 8 ounces of hydrogen and oxygen, essential for life, taken for granted by everyone who has enough. The 60 million downstream will soon not have enough. Thailand has decided their needs don't matter. The decision echoes across history. Water wars have been fought since Sumerian city-states battled over Euphrates irrigation. The Mekong crisis adds another chapter to humanity's oldest conflict. The water flows according to gravity. The consequences flow according to power. And 60 million people wait to learn whether the water they've depended on for generations will continue flowing, or whether Thailand's decision will leave them dry. 45 days. The dry season approaches. The dams are closing, the pumps are running, and the glass of water that sustains life is becoming the weapon that destroys it.